Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another lunchtime live stream with Chris. That's a bit of a tongue twister, that. Uh, we've got a lot to get into today. Obviously, the bad news regarding Fatawu, some interesting news about our sponsorship, and a rumor that's been doing the rounds. And we've got an email here that Chris has got together for us, so we'll get into that in just a second. A little bit on transfer news and a game I'm not massively looking forward to on Saturday as well. So we'll get into all of that. But before we do that, Chris, how are you doing, mate?
Well, my teeth are working, which is more than I can say for you. But no, it's snowing, and it's like everybody in the UK doesn't know what this white stuff is. It's called snow, everybody. But yeah, no. Well, look, if I ignore anything Leicester City, I'm happy. But every time I sort of open tabs and see another social media post, I don't know. Look, it's Leicester, isn't it? We should be used to all this.
It's the ups and the downs. That's what we love, isn't it? But
It is.
with, I think there's only one place to start, really. Fatawu, the news confirmed this morning, but I think a lot of us were fearing
Hmm.
out with an ACL potentially and most probably to the end of the season. For me, it's heartbreaking for him because he's starting to grow into a Premier League level player, and I think for us, he's probably our most talented player. I wouldn't say best, but I think he's got the most talent, and it's a huge blow.
Oh, undoubtedly. And I think we'd have probably been more concerned last season because I think last season it was in the championship, but he was at a higher level. He hasn't been starting every game. Now, whether that's just because of, Steve Cooper, another manager might do, but, there's sometimes he's played and he hasn't shone as much as he did last season. But look, if there's one, if you said to me Dakova Reed's out for the end till the end of the season, I'd have invited you around for a party and have opened a few tinnies. But Fatawu, I mean, it's just this is just Leicester. When you think it can't get worse, I mean, all I'm hoping for is at the end that we've done one great escape. This could be the greatest escape, the return. I don't know. It's just this is just we should expect nothing less of Leicester, really, should we?
The thing is, what's the expression? When it rains, it pours. But
Yeah.
with with Fatu, I think no one expected the numbers that he got last season in the championship, and I think if you did, you're very, very deluded of the level between the championship and the Premier League. But he's clearly stepping up, and he's showing that at moments he's got that Premier League ability. But I also think that it's to be expected for him to be inconsistent as a young player. It's his first season in the Premier League, but it is an absolutely huge blow. And what I also think makes it worse is the fact Jordan Ayew has also picked up a long-term injury, who probably would have played if it wasn't for Fatawu. So then what does the solution become? Because,
And of course, we've got no Buenete because he's suspended.
well, yeah, for this game, yes, he is. But even beyond that, it's like, what then is the solution? Is it El Canus going into the midfield, into that number 10 position, Buenanote coming to the right? Do you look at maybe Will Alves slowly integrating him into the team? And then uh, it's like, what's the solution? Because it's difficult.
I think if you were asking me under a different manager what the solution is, I'd probably be able to give you a better answer. But you would just Cooper, you just never know. I mean, you've said like it never rains, it pours. The other thing, of course, is when one door shuts, another door opens.
Yeah.
I would love to think that this might see us start to introduce Alves, but there's just something about Leicester City and youngsters. Alves isn't old enough, but Buenete is, and they're the same age, I believe. If Wayne Rooney, who made his debut for Everton at 16, was a Leicester player, he wouldn't have made his debut yet because he just wouldn't be quite ready. We're just going to loan him out, and I'm just thinking, how long is this going on for? Sometimes throw them in and see these players in and see if they sink or they swim. I mean, with Fatawu, he got a run last season. Look, some players come in and they take to it like a duck to water. Fatawu did, although he had the advantage of being in the second tier. Fafana, in fairness, whatever we think about him, he landed on his feet and he took to it straight away. Soyuncu had that season before Maguire left to sort of bed in, and I think that did him well. So sometimes I think we do expect, and let's be honest with you, we're Leicester fans. We love to build people up and then knock them down straight away. We've got a lot of midfield options. So if we do long term, I think Brunette is probably the option that he will go for. But you
But
know,
then it's,
hey, like that with Cooper, isn't it?
but it's like you move Buonanotte from midfield, from essential space to put him right space. Then it's the question becomes who do you put in essential space, isn't it? Because he's already starting. But
Well,
I think
yeah,
at some point you've got to trust El Canoes
you have.
because he was a big money signing, and I think he had like since that Everton game, which I thought he looked really out of his depth in that Everton game. But since then,
Mm.
I think he's slowly looked better and is coming to terms of what the Premier League
Yeah,
is.
because,
But
like I say, not everybody takes to it, straight away.
but in terms of we say about Will Alves, I wanted him to go out on loan. This is where I think I slightly
Mm.
disagree with you. I wanted him to go out on loan at the start of the season, but he's at the point where he's not out on loan and he's not playing. That's worse than either of the two situations. It's like
Yeah.
he's standing still, and like anything in football, if you stand still, you're going backwards. It's like
Yeah.
he should be out. Like what I know Ben Nelson's now got injured, but he should be out on loan like Ben Nelson, playing
Mm.
regular football like loads of other players, or he should be getting minutes in the first team.
I
Like the
wouldn't
fact that he's
agree.
not doing either
No,
is the concern.
totally 100% agree with you. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. But the fact is, we haven't let him go out on loan. So why aren't we using him?
Yeah,
And I'd love him to come in now. If I'd like Kevin Keegan, then I'd love it. I'd love him to come in now and grab that opportunity.
yeah, I 100% agree. And it's like whoever wears the shirt you want to see you do well, but there's something
Yeah,
extra about an academy lad coming in
yeah.
and
He gets the
doing well.
crowd up and going, and he's one of our own. The chant will come up. And I tell you one thing about the youngsters as well is that they don't always have that fear factor. Where some players might say, "Well, hang on, I'll just see, can I play this sideways or safe?" And when you've seen Will Alvis come on, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, he attacks the opposition.
Yeah, it's like have you seen? We play the under 23s played Notts County's first team in was it last week?
You were saying
He,
about it. I haven't seen it. No.
he was the best player on the pitch, and that's against fully grown men. It's like that's what he should be doing because youth football is fantastic to a certain level, but
Mm.
you need to go out and start playing against men. But also with the injury of Fatawu, like getting back to where the point, it sort of
Yeah.
brings me on nicely. John Percy, I don't know if you've seen this, tweeted out this morning about transfers and what January's transfer window might look like for us. So this was literally about 3 hours ago. He tweeted this. Leicester City are targeting a forward and a left-sided defender, another goalkeeper to provide more competition for the highly regarded Mads Hermansen is a possibility. So we'll go through each of those
Yeah.
one by one. So a left-sided attacker. So was it a left-sided attacker?
Left-handed defender, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
left-handed
a
defender.
forward. That's very sort of up in the air. Of is that a winger? Is that a striker? For me, I think it's got to be a striker, hasn't it?
I think so because I don't think the options we've got, and let me just open. What am I going to open LCFC because a lot of what I class as midfielders, they class as forwards. But if you look at this, Daka, it was just saying earlier that Daka's probably going to be back for the weekend. That fills me with absolutely no confidence whatsoever. To be honest with you, we know what he's been like. Cordova Reed is a forward.
Yeah.
Are we relying on him? All right.
The thing that I find really weird about Bobby Decordova-Reid is the fact how highly Fulham fans rated him and really seemed to like him. And we haven't seen a glimpse of that yet at Leicester. And
We
it's like,
haven't, and I agree with you there, and I am very critical of him. But I have to temper that with the fact of have we seen that much of him anyway? You know, we always used to say with Iheanacho, oh, he gets 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. He comes on, you know, in the 88th minute. What can he do? And when he did get a long run in the team that season, he ended up as our top goal scorer. So I've got to temper my thoughts on them. But he's not a player that I would have bought in the first place. Nor is Edouard. And I know Edouard's on loan, but you know, if Vardy's injured, let's say, you know, and he could get injured. Very well, we've seen he's injured now, isn't he? But he's old. He's going to pick up these niggles more often than a younger player. We're relying on Daka, who can't hit the proverbial barn door. Ayew, who is good at what he does, which is coming on as an impact sub and holding play up and scoring the odd worldy goal. Edouard and Dakova Reed. I mean, good God. I mean, you know, last season the goals were coming from Mavididi and Fatawu, but that's dried up.
The thing is, it wasn't just Mavididi and Fatawu, though. You look at the goals from midfield, Ndidi was chipping in. Dewsbury Hall was massively influential as well. But I got the logic and I understood why we signed Cordova Reed. He's a versatile player who can play across the front three, who was on a free signing with Premier League experience. Like, I got why we signed him, but it's like we're yet to see any of that. But it's like I got the logic of it. Edouard for me was just a panic of, oh, Daka's got absolutely Daka's got an injury and he's out for we don't know how long, and we're absolutely short up front. We need someone in.
Yeah, and I mean, I did read somewhere midweek that some people are saying that Edouard was a signing because the fans were all demanding a forward, and it was a case of, well, it was a loan signing. If we are going to get another forward, then send him back in January.
Yeah,
or even, and I don't know whether you agree with me. I don't think you agree with me on this one from what we've said in the past. But bring back Tom Cannon.
I disagree, and this is where, because he would do all right off the bench, I think. But for him at the moment, the best thing he can be doing is playing week after week after week and smashing it at Stoke. But I hear what you're saying. Is like, is what the best for him? Is it the best for Leicester? It's like,
well, that's the thing. Yes, it's going to be best for him because he's going to be playing, and that will long term benefit the club, as it would do with Braybook, with Nelson had he not got injured, etc. But we've got to think about Leicester this season, and it's not like a normal season for us. If we go down, I don't think we'll come back for probably another 10 years because we'll be hit with everything the EFL can throw at us. But I just think, do you remember when we played Watford in the FA Cup? I think it was during COVID or sometime.
Is this where we played like loads of the kids?
Yeah, and we beat them, who were a Premier League team at the time, Watford. We beat them 4-1. Brought all the so-called stars back for Forest game in the next round, and of course, we know what happened there. Sometimes, like with Alves, stick Cannon on, and at least he offers us something that Ayew doesn't. Like I say, Daka, yes, he's got the speed and he's got the fear, so he may keep a couple of their defenders occupied. But you know he's not going to score a goal unless it goes off somebody's arse on the way in. And Edouard and Dakova Reed, well, you know, just send them to collect the pensions every Thursday.
I hear what you're saying. As I say, I think the best place for him right now is Stoke, playing and developing and doing really well. Because even if he comes back, we know Vardy will be the main starter. And actually, do we know that though? But we know, regardless, it'll be Vardy and Daka's the main two, because Daka the whole way through pre-season was the main man. Whether you agree with it or you disagree with it, like the evidence.
He was Cooper's choice, yeah.
So then he becomes what, third choice? For me, that's I don't think that's worthwhile for him to probably come back and maybe play a third round FA Cup game in a couple of minutes here and there. If we're going to sign a striker in January, it needs to be someone who's going to come in and instantly start and instantly challenge Vardy. And I think that's what the club will be looking at. But
there's this Egyptian, isn't there? Is it Lille that we're supposed to be looking at? Who's not? Is another Ayew and another Edward, he scored like 1 in 20 or something. You know, he's not somebody that fills
Yeah.
me with confidence.
The thing is, we were linked to that lad from Bayer Leverkusen in the summer as well, and apparently that was very close to being done, and it didn't happen in the end. So uh, it doesn't need to be sort of like people will say about names and who do you want, what do you want, kind of thing. It doesn't need to be the biggest name in the world.
We
Just
couldn't
someone,
afford them, could we?
no, just someone who's going to come in, do a job, and it's like,
Yeah.
would it be a short term buy potentially? But it's like I am getting a sense of deja vu of when we signed Suter, Tete, and Christensen to save our season.
Hmm.
It does feel an element of that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're a quarter of the way through the season now, aren't we? And on last night's show, I'm sorry, I love Leicester. I'd love us to finish 17th, and if we finish 17th by 1 goal difference, Cooper will have done what we, brought him in to do. But I just can't see us staying up. I just don't see the performances there.
It's not just the fact I don't think the performances are there. It's the fact that the teams around us are getting better.
Yeah,
Ipswich are looking like they're becoming
yeah,
more and more of a Premier League side week
yeah,
after week. I think Wolves, like their start of the season was horrible, absolutely
yeah.
grim, and they're starting to look a little bit better. I think Southampton. I know we disagreed on sort of Russell Martin last week. I think Southampton. I'm going to go out on a limb now and say I think they're pretty much already relegated.
Yes, I wouldn't argue with that one. And Aya Scott, I think I think that's probably who I was thinking of the Mustafa Mohammed from Nantes. So
But
yeah, I don't know if he's say a massive goal scorer. Like you say, it doesn't have to be a name, just somebody that knows where the back of the net is, please.
yeah,
And are we making the best use of the look? Years ago we used to have the reserve team, and I know I'm old and I'm going back to the back to the future and everything,
back in
but
my day,
here when I was a lad living in
yeah,
a cardboard box on middle of gravel road, no, I mean there used to be a reserve team, so players that weren't making your first team were getting regular weekly games for the reserve team, and like people like Alves could slot into that, so that when they came on, if they were called upon, they were needed. And I never understood why we got rid of that, but hey ho, there we go. I just we need somebody like you say. They are getting better around us. My other worry also is, without turning this into a great Cooper debate again, is if they suddenly don't carry on doing well, apart from Ipswich, everybody from West Ham downwards could be looking to change their manager. Because I don't think Ipswich will, whatever happens.
yeah,
The worry is if we don't, we could be back in a Dean Smith situation where we're having to take what's left.
yeah. Because if you remember, like under Brendan Rodgers, and again, I don't want to kind of get into this too much
No.
because we've talked about it to death. Brendan Rodgers was sacked far too late, but we were saying, around that Gerrard point, that where Gerrard got sacked from Villa,
Yeah.
that it was just unattainable. Like he was never going to turn it around from that point.
Mm.
It's like, and we waited and waited and waited, and every decent manager had gone. You look at
Yeah.
Unai Emery to Villa. Whether we could have got Unai Emery or someone like that, potentially at the time, because our stock was a lot higher than it is now.
Yeah.
But it's like we can't make the same mistake. But again, I'm bored to death of talking about Steve Cooper, if I'm honest. So
No, I agree. I agree. But that is just another worry for me.
yeah, yeah, I 100% hear it.
You know.
100%. And it's like Graham Potter won't be out of work for long as soon as managers from elsewhere start going.
Yeah.
Same as David Moyes, same as all of the other names that we're being linked to. But the one thing I will say is, on the last thing on the managerial thing is, it's interesting how there's only 3 names being sort of banded around, isn't it? The Moyes, Potter, Corberan, and at a push Will Still. There's a lot more managers out there than people like to sort of say. Van Nistelrooy, for example, there's another one. Like,
Oh, he was the one I thought you were going to say, because he has again been linked with us.
but it's like This is where I say, look at Brighton. Had you ever heard of De Zerbi before he'd gone to Brighton?
No.
I'd heard of Graham Potter because of his time at Swansea, and he played against Arsenal in the Europa League, and I remember there being this whole big pre-match thing on him, but I hadn't heard of him massively. I'd vaguely heard of the St. Pauli manager, who I can't even remember what he is. He's now Brighton's manager. So my point being, it doesn't have to be the biggest name in the world, just someone who fits the criteria.
Martin O'Neill wasn't a name when we signed him.
Yeah.
Who'd, well, yes, we'd heard of him, obviously, but as a managerial choice, it has to be the right one, and it has to be done at the right time. And all I'm hoping is that we've just learned from the way we've done things in the past.
Yeah. We are going to quickly jump into the live chat. We've been going for 20 minutes and I haven't even said hello to everyone. So apologies about that. Guys, do leave a like on the stream. Also subscribe to both channels if you are not already. And then we're going to get into the rest of the news regarding a potential centre-back and obviously Mads Hermansen competition, which I find strange. Total Football, how are you doing? I hope you are well. Callum, welcome into the chat. Don't forget Chelsea, Leicester City have 2 games in a week, so Brentford next Saturday and then West Ham on Tuesday. It's the festive period. It's about to get busy. Kyle, how are you doing, my friend? I hope you are well. Kyle and Kyle, both welcome into the chat. Yeah, return of Enzo KDH, maybe Wesley Fofana. There's no Chilwell, though, apparently. Chilwell doesn't get anywhere near the squad anymore, apparently, according to the Chelsea fan that I talked to this morning.
There's that, talking about having, wanting a left back.
How are you doing, Scott? I hope you are well. We need a striker and a right winger.
I never said we should go for him.
You implied it. That's enough. Richo, how are you doing? I hope you are well. You could have Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I'll take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would.
In a heartbeat. I know he's got his injury issues, but I also think a change of scene for someone like him would do him the world of good.
Helps,
I think there's a decent player there.
Yeah.
I'll be celebrating my 66th birthday tomorrow. Everton win and going into retirement. More time to follow my beloved Everton. Come on, you Blues. Hope you have a fantastic birthday, mate.
Just think, Rico, like if you get relegated, it'll be a good job you retired because you've got more games then. Every cloud. Sorry, mate. Sorry, Rico. Forgive me.
And you'll have the best stadium in the Championship.
Yes,
actually, true. I don't even think that's true. I think there's. I like the old school stadiums. Like this year, my favourite one.
It does look impressive. The new stadium does look impressive.
It does, but there's something about the old stadiums that've got a bit more character about them, I think.
Yeah.
Mustafa Mohammed from Nantes. Yeah, I think that's who Chris was talking. What about the Greek striker? That name? I'm not even going to give it a go, but yeah, we were linked to him as well, weren't we?
Isn't that a tweet?
I ain't got a clue, but I could well be
Sorry.
Any money Leicester City have in January, spend it all on a left back and a right back. I think a right back. What? Yeah. Do we need another right back? Because I don't think that James Justin's the issue, or Ricardo when he's playing there. I think it's the fact he's being asked to play right wing, right back at the same time, and it's just not doable. I think the system's the issue.
How come when we come on to the sort of other players that we're going after in the transfer window, I'll come back on that.
Well, yeah, I'd heard of Xavi Alonso obviously because he had a fantastic playing career. But,
yeah,
would rather have funds to bring in a new manager and take a chance on the kid, i.e. McAteer.
McAteer's injured, I believe, though, isn't he?
Say that again.
I think McAteer's injured, isn't he?
Oh, is he?
I think. I mean, don't quote me on that. I may be wrong. You read there's that much going about at the moment, but I'm sure he is.
How are you doing, Scott? I hope you are well, mate. Should be looking to bring in Michel from Girona, mate. We're never getting Girona's manager. Like they're in the Champions League. I would love him, but it isn't going to happen. And I'm not sure who. I haven't heard of that from Palmero. Dor, how are you doing? Are you lot still Cooper out? Yep. And don't intend on changing anytime soon. I hope you're well, though, mate. I like the stadiums with the biggest bar space. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Good
Promote
point.
a winger from the reserves. A lot of them look decent. I don't watch enough of the reserves or the
No.
youth team to be able to say.
I know where he's coming from, though.
So look, guys, how are you doing? I can't believe Fatawu's injured. It is. It's not just the fact he's injured; it's the fact it's an ACL and he's out for the season. But
And what's he going to come back like? Because we've seen players that have had that injury come back and haven't been quite the same again.
yeah, it is gutting news. But let's get back onto transfer talk. Obviously, we mentioned the forward, but a left-sided defender leaves that very much open to interpretation if that's meant as a left centre back or a left back.
That's the thing with rumours, isn't it? They're designed like that so they can sort of, if we suddenly buy a left-sided centre back, you can go, oh, that's what I said. Do we need any more centre backs at this point?
Yes,
we could
we've got enough, but but the quality of what we have got is absolute dross. I'm sorry.
Yes, but look, we don't want to end up where I think it was under Ian Holloway under Martin Allen, we literally ended up with a full team of left wingers. That's all he went out and bought. We don't want to go too mad on the centre backs.
No, but we also do need to have a certain level of centre back at the club, and at the moment, I don't think we have that. I think Caleb Okoli is the one that I think he will come good. I think there's a lot of promise there. Vestergaard, still unsure if he's Premier League level or not. Beyond that, and Wout Faes, who can either look like Maldini or he can look like he's never seen a football before in his life. Like there's never an in between. So I'm sorry, we need
there. You see, I've got an answer for this. You see, I don't think we need, another left back, because we've got Justin. I don't rate Justin on the right. I'm sorry, for me, and it's about opinions. When I've seen him live in those games that I've been to, and he's been on the right, which is a few, hasn't impressed me. Hasn't impressed me when I've watched him. Whenever we seem to lose games, we get caught down that right-hand side. But on the left, although he can play both sides, on the left is where he plays better. And I think if you've got Christensen and James on that side, you've got the cover. On the other side, we've got Ricardo, who I'm sorry, he's just a sick note now. Love him to bits, but he was one who, I think he had an ACL, didn't he? And he's come back, and he's never been the same. And he's at this stage now where I think when players start to get injuries off the field, one of the reasons is age, like Jamie Vardy. But I just don't know. I think we should have cut our loss with him and let him go, because I don't think we're going to get that many games out of him. So if we're going to buy a player, get a right back. Talking about sorry, come on.
I was going to say, I disagree of letting Ricardo go, because I think last year when he was playing in a position in midfield where he wasn't expected to be up and down, he could do it because he played most of the season. But I also think not playing him at all this season, then dropping him in for 60, 70 minutes, it's like you're asking for problems.
Yeah.
But I do think, regardless, we need a right back, and a right back that is able to come in and compete straight away, not someone who's there and is like, oh, he'll come good in 1 or 2 years. Whatever business we do in January, I think, barring the goalkeeper, and we'll get onto that because I find this really strange, the goalkeeper one. Barring the goalkeeper one, anyone who comes in January needs to be able to step into that first team straight away and make an instant impact. Yeah. Whether that's a centre back, which I think we are crying out for, whether that's a left winger, or whether that's a striker, they've all got to be players that can step into the team straight away. But Matt Hermanson.
Well, can I just say, sorry, before we go on to the goalkeeping thing? Let's not necessarily get rid of Ricardo, but accept that he's not going to be necessarily a starter every game, but a reliable substitution if we need him. And like you say, he can play in a couple of roles.
Yeah,
I think we've got a centre back that we can use. I mean, we've got, Okoli, maybe more for the future. I didn't like him in the pre-season, but he has grown on me. Vestergaard, like you say, the jury is out. And how bad is it that everybody who hated him not so long ago was absolutely creaming themselves when he was coming back on and was back in the team? Faze, I just can't. He just worries me every time he goes near the ball. Cody's got the experience, but it's who do you partner him with, because he obviously hasn't got the speed anymore. To me, we bring back one of the loanees, and for me, and I've forgotten the guy's name now that's at Stoke, Suter.
At Sheffield United.
Sorry, is it Sheffield United? I thought he was at Stoke.
Yeah,
No,
we brought him from Stoke and then have loaned him to Sheffield United.
Yeah, no, you're quite right, because it's Callan who's at Stoke, isn't it? You're quite right. Suter, I don't ever know what he did wrong. I really, really don't. And he is absolutely playing out of his skin, allegedly, for Sheffield United. And I think if Sheffield United came in with a offer for him, we'd probably take it. And he'd be very happy to stay there, from what I'm reading. And I just think he could be another one that got away. He's tall, he can score goals, which Vestergaard doesn't. You know, he does it for Australia. Get him back, I would say.
To be fair, I know what you mean, and he's good in both boxes. I do like Harry Suter. I don't think that we will do it, and I don't know if we've even got the option to do it, but I hear that. But I think we are crying out for a centre-back. But
can you just bring up Easy Gaming's comment there a minute, mate? The last one, that's it. Faze is doing crap for his country, and Vestergaard is doing good. I put a post up the other day. The Danish reporters gave him 1 out of 10 for the game against Spain.
What, Vestergaard?
Yeah. In fact, if you bear with me, I'll read you. How far do I think it might have been the first one I put up on Blue Sky.
Whilst Chris is doing this, guys, make sure to hit the like on the stream on both channels. Let's get those likes up. Yeah. As I say, I'm always aiming for 40 likes. Let's make sure we can hit that. But sorry, go on, Chris.
Media blast terrible Leicester staff for 1 out of 10 performance. Yannick Vestergaard was singled out for an abysmal display for Denmark in the UEFA Nations League tie against Spain after his below-par contributions, coupled with an error leading to a goal, played a part in his nation's 2-1 defeat.
It's pretty damning, isn't it?
Yeah, well, where can you go with that? It's like, you know, and that's the Danish press, you know. It was one game, I guess, but I just wanted to sort of come back at Easy for that.
But Mads Hermansen, looking for competition for him in January. For me, I fear that this means that they already know he's off in the summer.
Yes, that is the scary thought, isn't it? Or, you know, I mean, look, we are known, and this is what got us into the trouble. We are known for selling players for vast amounts of money. And, you know, we did it with Maguire, Chilwell, etc., etc. And he could be the one. He could be the one, especially now Fatawu is out for the rest of the season. Stelarczyk apparently is coming back. Mm-hmm. I don't think, though, any of the other goalkeepers we've got past Hermansen, it could do it. You know, I mean, Stelarczyk's done well. Premier League, every game of the season. I'm not sure. I don't know.
It's very much, and I do think Stelarczyk's a much better keeper than Danny Ward, but it's very much where we were with Schmeichel, where it's like, if Schmeichel goes, Danny Ward will be able to fill in, because we'd only seen him in cup games and odd appearances where he did very well.
Yeah,
it's one thing doing that. It's another thing starting week after week after week in the Premier League. I think Stelarczyk will be a Premier League level goalkeeper. Whether he is right now or not we don't know. But I think it's too big of a risk just to let your number one go in Mads Hermansen, which I hate sounding like this, but this is just my gut feeling of what this means.
I think so. I think you could be 100% right there, and that is scary. Especially knowing that this is how this club survives. And I understand it. We have to cut our cloth even more so now. Look, somebody just said they're hoping that it means that Danny Ward's going. if we don't sell Danny Ward in January, we're getting nothing for him. I think it's this summer his contract runs out. Everson might be the same, or he might be even longer. Look, we've just cocked it up big time with the. The thing is, when you look at that, and you're quite right, and would we be looking to bring somebody in as a number 2? No, because we've got Stolarczyk, we've got Everson, we've got Ward, who, in fairness, for one game, most of those could stand in. So it has to be as a possible replacement.
I feel like it's more get them in now before everyone knows we've got the money. Because when Maguire went, I know we ended up using Sionchu and like that worked out fine. Yeah. But do you remember we went for Nathan Ake? Bournemouth said 70 million because they knew we just pocketed 80 for Maguire. Burnley said 60 for Tarkowski, and it's like,
yeah,
I feel like that. This is if Hermansen is to be sold, this is probably the better way to go about it of getting someone.
It is, but you are presuming that we know what we're doing with transfers at the moment, and I'm not 100% sure that we do.
I'm probably giving the club more credit than they deserve in terms of that, but I'm sure we'll have this discussion a lot in January. I do half like the skeptical side of me thinks, should we just be focusing on January, the here and now, get out of this season and make sure we're in the Premier League? Don't waste funds on sort of what could be happening in the future. Like half I'm thinking that, but I'm also half thinking long-term planning cannot be a bad thing. But
I think for me, yes, you've got to get a certain bit of for now to try and stay in the Premier League. But look at what happened last time we went down. If we had that time again, we would have planned better for it, I'm sure, knowing what we know now. So I think you have got to have a little bit of a eye on what might happen and if we go down.
Yeah. We've got to move on though, mate. And you sent this to me before we started. So am I right to put it up on screen?
Yeah.
Can you talk everyone through this?
Yeah. There's a lot of rumours going round about BC.game, obviously who are our number 1 shirt sponsor for the men's first team, being declared bankrupt. And I got to say, when I went on, it was some Tribuna or Tribuna.com who have actually been banned in Belarus. So I don't know what that says about them. But there's, and then obviously 1 or 2 other, I think Foss Hub did it. And no disrespect to a lot of sites that were tweeting it and posting it. They were no different to you or me, Ant. It's like, you posting Messi's going to be signed or whatever, and then somebody just runs with the back of it. I spoke to Rob Tanner at The Athletic last night, and he really didn't know an awful lot more, but he hadn't heard anything. Nothing had been said, nothing official had come out, and there was nothing on the Leicester Mercury. Love them or hate them, they're usually all over these stories. Sky, nothing over. BBC, The Athletic. Nobody was reporting this, and I'm thinking, this is a bit strange. I had another word with Rob this morning, and he said a couple of things that he sort of asked me not to say. But I thought, well, hang on, let's go straight to the horse's mouth. Now, obviously, they're not going to admit it, but it'd be interesting to see if they kind of backed up what Rob was saying. So I got this reply from Olivia Dye, who is the PR manager at BC.game. And it says, firstly, BC.game is still operating normally. The company remains financially strong and is actively managing legal matters related to Block Dance B.V and Small House B.V. B-Game continues to meet all financial obligations, including the sponsorship agreement with Leicester City Football Club. Our partnership remains unaffected. BC.game is committed to fulfilling all agreements with Leicester City and will continue supporting collaborations in the football and sports sectors. We understand the public's concern regarding this matter, but we want to assure Leicester City fans that BC.game's financial standing is stable and we remain dedicated to our long-term partnership with the club. Well, long-term, it's 1 season, isn't it? And that pretty much does kind of back up what Rob was saying, because the couple of problems that she mentioned there, Block Dance BV, which is like a limited thing for other countries, and Small House, I think, are the ones that I believe are the ones that are having the trouble.
Ah, so again, it's one of those. It just feels like a rumor that's gone sort of
Yeah.
massively far, and everyone's jumped on it straight away. And it's one of those. I was saying, when they first came out, and I said about it on the stream, that I find it like I would be really annoyed if the fact that turns out to be true, but the fact that there hasn't been any due diligence done to see if those funds are there, if the company are sort of who they're claiming to be and have what they claim to be. Like, to start with, let's be honest, it did from minute one. It looked like a bit of a dodgy sponsorship deal where you look at their Twitter, but they've got the most viewed tweet of all time, and right from minute one, it has felt like a bit of a strange deal. But you think there would be some sort of lines of communication if they're
Yes, I mean we know Leicester aren't exactly forward in telling us about what's going on at the club. We all know that as fans. Recently, more so than before. Look, I've worked for a company where we were financially stable, we were making a profit, but we were owned, believe it or not, by a casino company. Although this was a travel company I worked for at the time, but because the bigger company, the company that owned us all, was struggling financially, the fact that we were making money didn't make any difference because we're using those profits to try and offset other losses. So we went, we went bump with the whole company. But I guess with this is the case, if depending on the deal that this Block Dance and Small House have got, I don't know how much they're tied into, whether they are subsidiaries or whether they're sort of trading partners or whatever. But I'm just surprised that none of the big guns have followed this up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see though over the next couple of days, because obviously she's coming directly from BC Games.
Yeah,
Whether they're at a point of just having to keep face and can't come out with anything
yeah.
yet, or if any of the big guns do pick up on this.
I mean, it's
And
been a couple of days now, and let's be honest with you. Look, we used to rely on the Leicester Mercury and Leicestershire Live for having decent, reporters, and I'm not having a go at their reporters, but they very much seem to take their news from Now. You know what I mean? Is it Now, that company? Now News or whatever it's
yeah,
called. And well, we know some of those are, funny enough, because Now News, when you look at that, a lot of their news comes from fan sites. So by the time the Leicester Mercury get hold of it, it completely is one man and his dog in the basement somewhere making stuff up. I want to see it. I mean, Luke, we talked about Luke earlier. Love him to bits, but he was having a meltdown about it. Look, I don't think we would have gone into this, and it is only a 1-year deal anyway, because obviously at the end of this season we can't have betting companies on the front of football shirts. I mean, there's got to be been some due diligence, but we know, and even due diligence does not dig everything up.
my thing is, I am at the point where if this is true, I will be fuming, because I think that the checks should have been done, and like the level of operation that a Premier League football club is, I don't think it's one of those you can't just let that slide. But I don't believe that it is without any of the big guns even mentioning it.
No, I mean, Scott's just said there, are they avoiding it in case it comes to a legal battle? As there were ways around that. As Rob Tanner said to me yesterday, if I did want to use that, you just put "I understand" before it, or when we say anything online, follow it by allegedly. There are very simple ways around getting stories out without the lawyers, And let's be honest with you, we know these papers don't have to reveal their sources. We still don't know if Rebecca Vardy was the one, because the Sun won't come out and say it because they don't have to reveal their sources. So if I honestly think, and I could be wrong, and this afternoon, as soon as we come off here, it could all be out. it's not going to put us in a hugely bad position because KP will just step in.
Well, again, I disagree. This is where I disagree. The reason we had to move away from King Power is because, like, as fantastic as like what they've given us in terms of like investment and stuff, in terms of shirt sponsorship, they cannot give us that much. Like, I believe this was 10 times the amount in terms of monetary value for one season from BC Games as what King Power can provide.
Yes, but okay, then if we go the rest of the season without the without a sponsor, we're not going to be the first club that this has happened to. I mean, look at West Ham.
No,
Chelsea started the season with no sponsor.
no shirt sponsor, but I think you can't really compare us financially to Chelsea because even though they had no sponsor, their revenue was still flooding in left,
All
right,
right,
and
well, let's say West Ham then, because they lost a holiday company went bust.
they did, but I also think that we're in a very knife edge situation at the moment with FFP. And if we are to go down as well, like we keep talking about, if we're going to go down, I don't think the EFL are even going to care the fact of if they have gone bust because they're that sort of
Oh yeah,
cheesed off with us.
they are going for us. Like I say, I described the EFL as the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang waiting outside the door with the big net to stick over Top's head. Look, it's worrying. Any rumour is worrying. But years ago, this probably wouldn't even have registered because it would have come up on a little paper somewhere. But these days, there's you, there's me, there's 20 other Leicester sites. Every club's got about 100 different, fan sites that follow it. And these things are blown up. News channels, 24 hours, Sky News. I've got to fill 24 hours worth of news every day. And I watched it for about 3 hours. My God, do they regurgitate some stuff, I'll tell you. But it was all right when we won the Premier League and I could watch us winning it every hour. But, if they're not going with it, when they've got 24 hours worth of TV to fill, and that would fill maybe 5 minutes, I wonder. But look, time will tell. Time will tell. But do I feel a little bit better having got that letter? A little bit, because it's come from, a PR manager. But then again, like you said, what else is she going to say?
The only other thing is she could have ignored it, couldn't she? And that would make it even more.
Well, I was surprised. I've got to be honest with you. I just sort of started Googling all this news, got to one of their sites, because the one that you click on isn't available in the UK, so you have to divert to another one and then it's through, which is a bit worrying. But I finally got this woman's name, and she replied within the hour. Now, either that's panicking because she wants to kill this game off, or this rumor off, or like you say, she's had that ready because she's had inquiries from elsewhere.
Yeah, but again, as we always say, we'll have to wait and see, and it will all come out in time. But didn't really want to talk about this bit, but we kind of have to. Chelsea on Saturday.
Yeah,
it's not a game I'm particularly looking forward to, mate.
No, and I think, I don't want to give too much away because I'm doing the prediction show later, but I don't think I'll be going for a Leicester win here. At the moment, the advantage we've got at the moment is the fact that we've got our goal difference is -7 and Southampton's is -14. I mean, it was better than that, obviously, pre-Man United, but Ipswich, when you look at it, and you've said this, we're not getting better, and the 2 wins that we've got, we didn't deserve.
Yeah.
Bournemouth, we were holding on. Southampton, we fucking got out of jail so much that year. We must have used up our 9 lives about 20 times over to get 3 points there. Wolves, there's no teams now not won a game. But when you look at Ipswich, they deserve to win. They played so well against Spurs, and I don't think we can we drop into if let's say Ipswich and Everton get at least a point each and Palace were to win, we'd be in the bottom 3. All right, I know there's a lot of variables in there, but this is why, and I don't want to get on to Cooper again, but if we're getting rid of him, why didn't we get rid of him in these 2 weeks?
Yeah, as you say, like if I completely agree, but in terms of Saturday's game, I really worry about it because I think that Chelsea are looking fantastic under Enzo.
Yeah, you got to give them credit.
Yeah, and they're getting progressively better. They're third in the league, absolutely flying. I worry it could be quite a humbling afternoon.
Yes, I think all eyes are going to be on the team that is picked more so than, I mean, normally is anyway. Obviously, it's a stupid thing for me to say, but you know what I mean. We will be analysing that more than we possibly normally do. We got them. We've got, is it Brentford up after that?
It's a
Who,
difficult run of games, mate.
yeah,
Difficult
West
run.
Ham. All right, we might get something at West Ham, or they're coming to us. I can't remember, but we've gone. The problem I worry about is that I think we've gone through possibly an easy-ish start when you look at the teams that we play. When I saw the fixtures come out, I actually went, yeah, that's not bad, because I thought if we get -6 points off the Premier League, the games that we'd got coming up, we could maybe get a draw there, a win there, and we didn't take advantage. And now, like you say, we're on 10 points. Wolves are only 4 points behind us.
The worrying thing is we're on 10 points and it's 10 unconvincing points as
Yes,
well. It
yes,
could, like, and I'm not even saying this for effect, it could very easily be 4 points.
yes, yes, definitely. Do you remember the Great Escape year? We talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
Every game, and I as you know, I live on the south coast, and I had a season ticket at the time, and I went up to every home game and a few away games. And what I saw on all those games was a team that was battling. We never got, if we lost, it was only by the odd goal here or there, sometimes maybe a couple, but that was it. We were battling. I don't see that this season.
Thing is, I do see fight in the team. Okay, Old
Mm.
Trafford, awful. I do because we keep coming back from behind, but I just see a team that is completely out of ideas and looks like they're confused at what they're asking to be done. It's like we're not playing to our team's strengths ultimately, but I do think that you don't come back from games as many times as we have without a little bit of fight about you.
But
But at
how
the
long,
same
how
time,
long can we keep doing that?
yeah, again, I completely agree with that. Again, it's not sustainable. Keep going behind and scraping points from behind all season. So I think it's two different conversations. I don't think we can keep doing it, but I also don't think that these players aren't fighting. I just think that the tactics and the ideas just aren't good enough.
Mm, yeah. I'm not. I mean, at the start of the season, I put us to 17th, and that was hopeful because we thought we'd get a points deduction. I'm really concerned that we're going to go straight back down, and if we do, we ain't coming straight back up again.
It feels like the club aren't quite, and this might be unfair to say, but I also think it's true. It feels like the club aren't quite taking the threat of relegation particularly seriously.
Don't say that. Please don't say that, because that was kind of what happened when we actually got relegated, wasn't it?
Yeah,
We slept walked into it. I mean, surely they've got to say, they'll look at it and go, all right, we're going to get the points deduction if we go down. If we go down, Mads has gone, definitely.
it's not just Manchester, mate. This entire team is, and
Well,
also
average
we've still
leading,
got
yeah.
an EFL transfer embargo implemented on
Mm,
us, but obviously because we're not in the EFL at the moment, it doesn't affect us.
no.
But the moment we get relegated, that is a massive points deduction, and I bet you there'll be a lot more waiting for us than just that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely. It is so important we have to stay up, and that is why I know it's I know we've only got 11 games in, but it is a quarter of the season, and that is why normally I'd be saying, yeah, give them till Christmas, give them till whenever. But I don't think we can this season. I think a decision should have been taken, and I am so worried that I put a post up the other day. Ruud van Nistelrooy, all right, he hasn't come out and said anything, but according to rumours and the press, he said he was interested in Leicester. And as I put out, Rome burned while Nero fiddled.
But the thing is,
And
as
we
well,
are
that
fiddling. We are fiddling.
the thing is, he rejected Cov, didn't he, because of a Premier League job, according to rumours. So it's like it's a conversation we had earlier on. The longer we wait, the less quality there is in of management, and the bigger job it becomes for whoever comes in.
Yeah. It is interesting to see because, again, we're now being linked with Moyes, we're now being linked with Potter again, and apparently these are managers that are themselves interested in Leicester. It's funny they're interested now we haven't got a points deduction.
It is, but you've also, like, as a manager, you've got to look after yourself of what you're going into.
I agree.
I also think with Potter, he was waiting for the England job. I'm convinced of that. Like, he was, because when you looked at who was being linked to it, he was one of the names that every time it was talked about was near the front of the conversation. That hasn't come about. But West Ham get rid of their manager. You can see it being Potter. They won't go back for Moyes for a round 3, I don't think. But you can see that being Potter. Wolves get rid of their manager. I wouldn't be shocked if they went.
Potter.
But again, it's that same handful of managers. It doesn't need to be one of those. But the point is, whoever it is, the caliber of who they are will sink the further into the season we get, and also the bigger the job it will become.
Totally. Well, Chelsea and Brentford coming up, you get a new manager in. Look, we're probably not going to get much from those 2 games anyway. Maybe 1 point from Brentford if we're lucky. So that would have given the new manager 2 games to actually just assess his team and see what's out there and what have you. Especially now we know Fatawu, give him a chance to maybe try different players. I just think we've missed the opportunity. And there was nothing I've seen so far in these first 11 games that convinced me that the guy that's in the seat at the moment is the guy that's going to keep us up.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I wanted Steve Cooper to do well. Whoever comes in as manager, we want to do well.
You do. It was one of my 3 names, as you know, and I've got to hold my hands up and say, got that one wrong. But
yeah, the thing is, though, I didn't want him, but it is there's particularly me and you, mate, because we're constantly on air and talking live. We will say 101 things that are wrong. That's what it's all about. It's all about having opinions and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just. You were very much in a minority at the time, weren't you, when you mentioned Steve Cooper?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
He wasn't a name on many fans' lips, and it's like I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's also. I don't think another Premier League club touches him with a barge pole, but I don't want to get into a Steve Cooper debate because we've done it 1,000,001 times, and
we will, and we'll do it 1,000,001 more times before the end of the season. I'm sure, you know.
Let's hope not. Let's hope by the end of December it's not a Steve Cooper debate. But if you get where I'm going with that, well done. I'm going to quickly jump into the live chat before we finish, guys. Do leave a like on the stream. How are you doing? I don't know how to say your name, but welcome into the chat, mate. I hope you are well. Point against Ipswich was very lucky. It was, and it's not just you take a point away from us if that happens. You add 2 points to Ipswich's tally as well. So it's like obviously that didn't happen, and thankfully it didn't. But at some point your luck runs out. You cannot go through an entire season on picking up points because the opposition have picked up red cards and moments of individual ability. Do you think he'll be gone before Christmas? I think January is my expectation. I'd like to see Rude, 100%, and bored of hearing Potter. Graham Potter will be my first choice, and I hope he comes in. But again, as I say, I'm not going to get into a managerial debate. I think we've just about covered everything, Chris.
Yes, I don't think there's anything that I can add to that, to be honest with you. I think we've covered everything that I was thinking we're going to be talking about.
Brilliant. Guys, do go over and check out Leicester Till I Die. The link is in the title in my stream, so you should just be able to click on the title. Go and subscribe to Chris's channel. If you're not subscribed here as well, make sure to do so. And I have forgotten one thing that is probably the most important thing I'm going to say all stream is that in January, I will be doing a 24-hour live stream raising money for NSPCC. Got some more information on that coming out next week, so make sure to keep an eye out for that because it is a fantastic cause. So we want to try and raise as much as
I struggle. I can just about put up with you for an hour. 24 hours. God help us.
Just because you've said that, mate, I'm going to make sure that I get you on for at least an hour on the stream. At least an hour. And you'll be lucky
are you setting a target? And if you get to that target, do you finish early? Because I might have to donate enough to get you off the air. Sorry. No, hey, good luck, guys. It's a great cause, a brilliant cause. Well done to Ant for doing it, and make sure we all support him.
Thank you very much. Guys, we are going to wrap it up here, though, guys. So like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I will see you guys in the next one.
See you later.